Barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. We begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, we glorify Him, and we thank Him. And we send peace and blessings upon the final messenger of God, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I want to welcome you all to our Friday night program entitled Diamonds in the Rough, Accepting Islam in Prison. I'm your brother Jamal Zaheen, the outreach coordinator here at IIOC for the Dawah department. But as you guys know, this event is with IIOC's Dawah and Outreach Department and our prison outreach department called Link Outside. So today, Brother Ameen, our project manager here for Link Outside, is going to be conducting this not workshop, but this event, this seminar, if you will, just to really shed light on our brothers and sisters that are incarcerated, right, and to hear about some of the challenges and issues that they might face. So that'll be number one, and Brother Ameen will kind of give the blueprint of the program. We are going to have a QA part, questions and answers, so we're going to have a mic stand in the back. I would encourage you, as we always like to do, is if you do have a question or a comment or even a suggestion, if you want to go ahead and write it down or text it to yourself so you don't forget, then at the tail end of our event, we're going to go ahead and have that. So we would really like to hear from you folks, inshallah, regarding that, technical difficulties. Budget cuts, you know, we always talk about budget cuts. It's getting more and more real every Friday. So that's number two. Number three, we are streaming this live. So if for some reason it is raining outside, so I know the weather is not the best right now as far as, you know, you traveling. So if somebody's on their way, you know somebody's on their way and they might be a little bit late, go ahead and give them our information. If you go on YouTube, just plug in IIOC TV. It should say streaming live, Diamonds in the Rough. Again, IIOC TV on YouTube. It should be streaming live, inshallah. And last, and again, certainly not least, the kitchen will be remained open throughout the evening until the food runs out. We do have food left over. If you do want to grab some food and come in, you're most welcome to do so. It is our pleasure, inshallah. And without that and without further ado, if I can pass it over to the program manager of Link Outside, our dear brother Ameen Shaker, he'll go ahead and proceed with the program, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa
rahmatullah. Thank you, Jamal. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. How are y'all doing? Peace and blessings upon everyone in here. My name is Ameen Shaker, and I'm the program manager for Link Outside. And just by a show of hands, how many of you are not local to this area? Is it coming from out of town, driving? Okay, alhamdulillah, good turnout. Now, how about the rest? I'm assuming you're all local from here. Okay. Now, how many of you who do know about this mosque, how many of you know that there's an outreach department? Raise your hand, just by a show of hands. Okay, good. About 80%. Now, how many of you know that that outreach department also has a prison outreach component to it? Okay. 60, 70%. Okay. Now, how many of you have actually seen the work that they've done? Met the people who've come. Okay, we got 1, 2, maybe 2%. Okay. So one of the things that I'm really excited about this mosque and this program, this organization, Link Outside, is that they're doing amazing things. And unfortunately, it's difficult to really let the community know about what they're doing, because a lot of times you have to be going inside of prisons. It's a lot of work. You have to fill out forms. So one of the things I want to do is just let everybody know what we're doing, what the mosque is doing. You know, if you're donating, if you're contributing, you're volunteering, where is that going towards? So you get to see it, live examples in front of you. Second thing is that this is an issue that is, even if you're not local to this area, it's an issue that affects all of us, whether you're Muslim or non-Muslim, because we have tens of thousands of people who are incarcerated that are Muslim, and even a larger number who are not Muslim. It's a large issue. We have prison reforms happening right now. So this is something that, even if you don't think it affects you, it affects every single one of you in here today. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over, and I want to have everybody just briefly introduce themselves. Please tell us your name, where you're from, and how many years you were incarcerated for. And start with our sister here.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sonia, and I am Mexican. I live in Long Beach for the last 15 years. And I was in prison for 18 months.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Qadir, and I greet you all in the universal greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. My journey in prison started in the year of 1996 at the age of 14. I was incarcerated for multiple counts of armed robbery at that age, and I spent the next 18 years in prison, and I just paroled last year in 2017.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. My name is Tobias Tubbs. I was a juvenile offender, 1991. That was a juvenile death sentence. which means I was never to return back to society. I did 28 years in incarceration, and I got a commutation 150 days ago, and I'm happy to be here. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much. So just to get started, we want to paint a picture. We want to bring everybody in to the narrative, the story. So we're going to first start off and have each of our guests here today talk just briefly a little bit about what was your lifestyle before becoming Muslim and before practicing Islam. Sister Sonia, please.
Okay, I can literally say that I came from the darkness to the light because I was in the drugs world. I was a drug addict for like, I could say good 10 years, drugs and alcohol. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. Prior to my conversion to Islam, first and foremost, I am the descendant of American slaves. I am here and I am in the narrative of that story. And in the narrative of that story, there are certain elements that are going on within our community that often leads to traps for young men such as myself. And unfortunately, without a father figure in my early beginning, I didn't have the wisdom to navigate around some of those traps. So, my introduction into prison really started by way of my industrious hands not being guided by a father figure, and ultimately going out and search for that figure and ultimately adapting myself or connecting myself with people who misled me down the wrong path.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. I was fortunate to be, assalamu alaikum, I guess not. Alhamdulillah. I was fortunate to be born to two Muslim parents. So I was a Muslim when I came into the system. So it wasn't really a case of a conversion, but putting my faith into practice. So it was no longer the faith of my parents. I had to apply the belief system in one of the rawest and most dangerous and un-Islamic situations. So I'll start off by telling all young Muslim people, listen to your parents, and they have proper guidance. But I will go deeper off into my personal situation. But yes, I went into the system as a Muslim, and what my parents taught me allowed me not only to thrive or to survive in that setting, but to ultimately thrive to help other men come to Islam. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you for that. Okay, so now we're going into prison now. So talk to us a little bit about that experience being incarcerated. What were some of your challenges? How is it like for someone who hasn't been in there before? Walk us through that process, please.
For me, it was very hard because nobody was used to be in that kind of situation. But about Islam, for me in there, it was like I felt freedom because I'm the only one from my family who's Muslim. All of us, I grew up in a Christian home. So when I walk in prison, I already had the seed in my heart. And it was just them, Brother Jesse and Sister Cara, and then they were like watering the seed. It was the imam who used to visit us in prison. What I hear from them, and there it was like my support, my foundation for Islam. It was inside prison.
So now let's take it to the next step. So you're in prison, you're in this environment, you're now seeing Islam, maybe you've learned it. So tell us a little bit about how did Islam come into your life? How did that experience come, and how was it reintroduced in your case?
You know, it's hard to just jump through so many different patches in history, so I'll try to be brief with it. My conversion to Islam it came later on in my prison experience. Again, I started off in my prison experience at the age of 14, and at the age of 17, in my foolishness and ignorance, I actually masterminded an escape from the prison setting and stayed on the run for 14 days. So in this state of complete loss and rebelliousness against the nature that I had within me, I, in turn, after being arrested or caught for escaping, I was then sentenced to one of the worstest prisons in California, Pelican Bay State Prison, at the age of 18. I was a small minor amongst giants. Some of the best or some of the worst criminals you ever heard of in the state of California was present. So I had no desire to convert to Islam at that point. I really wanted to convert to another mind that could defend me and help me survive this scenario. So my actual conversion came after the storm. It came after the beating psychologically and the disciplines from Allah, putting me in the hole, putting me in situations because I didn't have, like my brother Tobias, a life sentence. I actually had a date. But the way I had to move my mind out of that state of going home into now conducting myself as a life prisoner just really didn't leave Islam as a possibility. So to be brief, and I'm sorry for belaboring the situation, but my conversion ultimately came once I actually had a psychological break. I lost my family. I lost the only people that was actually sustaining me financially in prison. And once that actually left, I felt that I had no more reason to be here. And entertaining those thoughts led me to start to speak out about it because I did not want to kill myself. So I began to express certain things about how I felt and how I felt alone and depressed and ultimately neglected. And that led me to talking to the right people and ultimately led me to this man who was the first man who ever hugged me in prison and told me that he loves me and began to explain some of the things about the Deen of Islam. But my conversion and commitment fully came when Brother Ameen, Brother Jesse, and the host that they brought to the prison came and began to make Islam a real thing for me. It was no more book knowledge or no more demonstrations by anger or frustration, but an actual heart-to-heart connection that began to deal with the character issues that I was dealing with, deal with the criminality issues and addictive issues that I was dealing with. They made Islam more or less not just a religion, but an actual practice that deals with the human trauma. So that's how my conversion happened, sir.
Alhamdulillah. My situation was a little unique. Most of the time, men and women do not come into California corrections or prison Muslim. So in my situation, my crime occurred because I felt totally disconnected from society. I did not trust LAPD, the Sheriff's Department, a lot of terrible run-ins. I have two co-defendants, which are both Muslim, Islam and Yahya. I was told that one of my brothers was being hurt, and I acted out very impulsively and took a weapon to go harm the people who I thought was harming my two co-defendants. That subsequently put a warrant out for my arrest. I wasn't in the house doing the harm of those individuals, and since I would not take the stand against them, I ended up getting the life without sentence along with them. With that being said, I was on the run for 30 days, so I turned myself in on the leave of Allah Ta'ala. We really believed that the system, I guess, would work at that time. My appeal or seeking to get out took almost 30 years. But inside my journey, as the brother Abdul Qadir has said, when I went into the system, I was deliberate to find Allah Ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu Alim in my life, not in my father's life, not in my parents' life, not in the different communities I was forced to be raised in. And so I just had a deliberate effort to study the Quran. I knew very limited Arabic, but enough, more so than the other men who was there. Understand how to do the salat, ghusl, wudu, a lot of things I just knew as a child, from just sitting in the masajid or sitting in the masjid. And then I was able to start sharing that, to the point that when people didn't know how to pray, the officers would come get me to lead the prayer. At the beginning, I had the surprise prayer made simple, the book, and I would just lead the salat, 15 or 20 men with the book, about to leave Allah, so I learned, okay, yeah, I got to start remembering this stuff. I got to really start getting it because it was like kind of like embarrassing, holding the book, leading the salat. And then throughout the county jail, which was 2 years of that experience, my mother became a Christian really early in my experience. So it was to the point that my one parent was saying, if you don't accept Jesus, that you're going to never get out. And my father saying, bro, if you don't accept Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that you're not going to get out. So that's a terrible position, or a very difficult position for a child to be in. It's like picking your parents. And so I felt even in my heart then, before I've gained the experience and the limited knowledge I have on that subject, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the Mahdi Messiah are one. And, you know, they pushed the same message and they had the same agenda for mankind and humanity. So that was the kind of position that I took behind the walls. The void in prison is two things. One is connection and one is love. Love and connection. So as the brother Quinny said, the many men, thousands of men that I've met, they've never been hugged by their fathers. They've never been told that they were loved. So my whole position was, at that time in my life, studying the Quran, finding ayah or verses on love, and seeking to embody that in the worst of situations, and showing that love and saying that love was from Allahu Ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu Alim and his Prophet Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. I was fortunate, by the leave of Allah, a lot of the leaders of the Crips and the Bloods and the different forms of organizations there start to see something in me, in which my parents was telling me my whole life that you're a leader and you're beautiful, but if a child doesn't feel like he's a leader, if a child doesn't feel beautiful, if a child doesn't feel accepted, then we're not. And that was my problem. So with that being said, I started a movement inside the prison system that people who wanted to choose Allah, Allah Ta'ala or God, that we was going to join together. We had no really right to be separated amongst ourselves. Salat is difficult in prison. I know brothers who have got their limbs broken over doing salat. You know, if you understand the prison system, sadly, the system is, especially post 9/11, where we're not really especially nice to Muslims, especially not African American Muslims. There's two things that you don't want to be, in my experience, who was what they call black and Muslim. And I happened to be both of them, and I was considered an imam, a leader. So that was three things you didn't want to be in prison. But Allah Ta'ala protected us through enormous odds. Just seeing the audience here and the smiles upon your faces means everything to us, because often we're isolated in these areas, way out in the mountains, way out into the deserts, and there's no human connection. So the only human connections you get in those settings is violence, extreme acts of violence. So for me personally, not coming out of the gang affiliations like our good brother Abdul Qadir, that all I had was Allah Ta'ala, because most of the men who come to Islam comes up out of the gang setting. So they have those kind of social ties. I met grandfathers, fathers, and sons in prison. You just think about that. If you have all the men in your family in prison, it's to the point that young men used to commit crimes just to meet their parents or to meet their fathers and their older brothers. I've met the men, and I've counseled those men, and I've loved on those men. So to answer this question very simply, Islam gave me two things. It gave me a sense of connection, that I wasn't alone, although I was far away from my parents and my family, and it gave me the power, the love in situations which seemed loveless. Assalamu alaikum.
SubhanAllah, SubhanAllah, that was amazing. Okay, now this is the part that I really want to focus in on, and that's our Link Outside Prison program. So I'd like to actually hear from everyone what that program means to you, and especially your experience before the program came to your facility and what happened after. So we have a lot of people in here, they've never met anyone who's been touched by that program. So we'd like you to please, in a few words, just let people know how that impacted you.
Okay. My experience, it was, like I say, my family was always against Islam, and I never, you know, the lifestyle inside, behind bars, is very, very sad. It is sad. I always see people receiving letters in the mail. You know, saw like letters in the mail, receiving packages, so things like that, you know. But I never received any letter from. Well, I did till from my family till they find out that I was getting more into Islam. So those letters stopped, and the only one sometimes, like from time to time, when I see a little white envelope lying under my door in a very horrible room, it was so sad. And I looked. I never get out of my bed to pick it up because I never thought it was for me. But then I saw. I mean, my roommate. She grabbed the paper and she said, "Oh, this is for you," and threw it in my bed. And I looked and I saw an answer from Link Outside, and I was so happy. And I was like, "Oh, this is true," because I found a flyer somewhere in the yard one time, and I got the paper and I sent a letter. And actually, I found like 2 or 3, and I write to everybody, but only Link Outside respond. And then, the prison where I was at, it was like around 3,000 inmates. And I saw in the yard 3 women walking wearing a hijab, and one of them, it was me. So it was only 3 Muslims out of 3,000. So then when, after Link Outside went there for, I don't know if it was the first time or not, but it was the first time I saw them. It was for a banquet after Ramadan. And after that, it was like 7 women used to go to the meeting. And it was, to me, I'm never gonna forget those experiences, just by getting those letters. Or one time I received some books. It was Welcome to Islam, and the other one, How to Pray, and a little biography about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that I read like 5 or I don't know how many times. And with the book, I really, really knew what I was reading about in the Quran, that I read the Quran before, also 5 times before the biography. But sometimes, where they say something about some word or stuff like that, I never knew anything about the story or anything like that. But with the book, I really understand, everything I was reading about. And that was a very little book like this thin. That later on, when I got out, I met a girl. Her name is Safa. She lives in Long Beach. And I was talking to her about the book, and she told me, "Oh, you know what? I hope the man who wrote this book to review this book." And I was like, "Oh," and I felt so happy because, I just find out the people who write the book that I was reading. And I'm so glad to see Brother Mustafa. Yes, it was very, very helpful for me.
Thank you, sister. Okay, same question for you too. Oh, so the question is how did Link Outside impact you, and compare that with how it was before Link Outside came and how it was like afterwards?
Assalamu alaikum. Since I got wrapped into her story, because I understand what it's like being ostracized in a setting and being pitted against the masses, and you have to stand on your principles alone. So for a woman to express that in a situation is just mind-blowing, because you rarely consider that. But ultimately, my introduction to Linked Outside was on a grander scale, because it's not just I met these brothers. I got introduced to these brothers' lives. I'm talking about these brothers brought their wives up to the prison, and we took our shoes off and we enjoyed service together. That's how comfortable these brothers were with us. They treated us like human beings. So when I met them, I met human beings who were Muslim in their hearts. And that is hard to find in a setting like the prison culture. You have a lot of Muslims in their head. You have a lot of Muslims that can carry a big old book around the yard and make it look good, but who can actually connect to the heart? And that's what these brothers did. They didn't do it so much with book knowledge. They did it with experiential knowledge, and also with the process of science of purification of the heart. Taking us into the meditative practice of dhikr, or chanting, or reciting the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to actually activate the cures, the natural cures within our fitra, within our natural disposition, that begin to deal with the issues of abandonment and loneliness and lovelessness and all of these different things that we utilize to imprison ourselves before we actually get to the prison. So that's what Linked Outside did for me, is they actually unlocked the true prison, which was the prison that had turned my heart into a heart of stone and put back inside of it a heart of flesh. So Linked Outside is more than just Islamic ill-tag outreach program. These are human beings who are willing to put their lives on the line to breathe back the spirit of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on humanity. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah. My experience with Muslims, just remember, my father was an electrical contractor in South Central Los Angeles. So we've put in lighting systems for numerous masjid. As I was a masajid, as a child, wudu chambers, so I was very familiar with Muslims, all different kinds. My father used to just pass me around to different Muslim communities to learn istinja, to learn dhabiha, to learn all kind of philosophies and all kind of stuff. So the whole point was I came in with the understanding that there is a Muslim ummah and I'm supposed to be a part of that ummah. That was not the reality in the majority of my sentence, sadly. What happened, very similar to the sister, her story, I was fortunate to be a part of a group of dynamic men who transform every yard that we would come on by Islam. So the chapel might have 5 or 6 brothers. We'll step to the yard with Dawah committee, showing men that we can be young and beautiful with Islam. And then the ranks will jump 10, 20, 30, 40 to the point we had hundreds of men inside the chapel. But the disconnect comes in where they're asking, where are these Muslims on the street who support us, especially when the administration was just totally, violating our rights, not just our spiritual or religious rights, but our human rights. So there was a great disconnection that came about personally with myself, although I would never voice it over the minbar in the classes, but I stopped feeling connected to the Muslim world. With that being said, although my father and many of the elders in the community would send us books and do the best that they could, but it's very difficult in getting in the systems. You have to get in through a group of chaplains. So the system itself was really not allowing us to get a lot of outside help, nor was the Muslims really educated who we are, what was our stories, how can a young Muslim child, not alone a person who might have been in a gang or a drug addicted, will find themselves inside of a prison setting. So that was like 20 years, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, 20 years of that kind of experience. And then I got to Lancaster State Prison. Like I told you, when I turned myself in, my father told me of the story of Yusuf, alayhi salam, or Joseph, and the Surah Kaf, Surah 18, and the continuous reading of Surah Yasin and Ar-Rahman. So we made a practice for 30 years to keep reciting these surah and these dhikrs, and so I always knew that I was going to get out of prison. But especially for Muslim people to get out of prison, we have to have a community that accepts us. If not, they're feeling that we're a part of a barren group, or we're just a bunch of young rebels, or we might be a danger to society. So I spoke to the chaplain and told him we need Muslims to come inside of the prison. He brought some brothers, I ain't gonna say what different countries they came from, but they did not, connect with us, our social experience, where we came from. Everything was alif, ba, ta. Like, bro, we on Yasin, Alif Lam Meen, Alif Lam Ra. Bro, we do it. So, so they came with no knowledge or understanding of who our story, our journey. And so we went through a few organizations in which didn't work out. So finally, I met Brother Jesse first. I try not to be skeptical. I try to be optimistic, but it was his energy. I knew that he came and he understood where we came from. And with that being said, he put himself where his mouth was, where the language is. We say we're Muslim, we're supposed to feel that we're Muslim. Today when I came in here, everybody asked me, are you prepared to speak? I tell them I'm in preparation, because how you treat me is going to determine how I was speaking here today. You know, the tacos was wonderful, so I'm off that energy. You know, the warm smiles as I'm looking inside the crowd, I'm off of that energy, because it made me feel welcome. When I came out of the Salat, the Asr Salat, I'm seeing the Sheikh Faqih, the man who was there when I got my commutation, and welcomed me in. So it was that kind of energy that he brought his wife and his family. I've been on 150 days. Out of 125 days, I'm with that man every day. That man picks me up. I live in a mountain by the leave of Allah, alhamdulillah, in a beautiful home, a transition, and that brother comes to pick me up 5:30 every morning for Salat. We go to his house with his Zawj, with his wife, and we make Salat. We read Yasin every morning for the last 150 days. Ar-Rahman. We do the weird Salat. We do Tasbih. This man, and I'm pretty sure Link Outside ain't paying that much, that this man has spent probably thousands on me. Transitioning is not easy, because I'm coming from a place of 30 years ago. So I know nothing about humanity. I know nothing about society. So not alone has the brother Ameen, the beautiful Muslims in which are a part of this community and the community that's in Los Angeles, they invite us in their homes and they make us feel like family. That's all we ever wanted. I told Jesse, I don't want nothing from you, but just to know that there are real Muslims behind the wall. There are people that do not come to harm you, to hurt you. They just want to be recognized by you. That's it. We have credible skills, we have talents, we have gifts, but we need the platform to help us transition out of that kind of space into an Islamic space. So the Link Outside, he said something short. You can't give nothing short, because without Link Outside and this brother right here, and people know, you know, I'm a part of a lot of Islamic communities, because they remember me as a child. They call me the Prince of Lamert, because the little Muslim kid. But I'm with that man every day, where he gives khutbah. This man is talking about me as he gives khutbah with the students of UCLA, so now we're part of them. You know, and they are adding on and saying, we want to help you to transform yourself in society. So this is all a part of Link Outside. You know, it's more than just an outreach. You know, it's really an in-reach. It's about pre-entry. It's not about re-entry. We have to come in and get our people. I would say this, if you are a young person and a Muslim, crime doesn't pay. I know the dial 911 now. Yeah, so yeah, it's not funny. Me not trusting the system. We know the injustices and the hardships, but you do not want to go to prison. I'm telling you, my story is unique. Most people come out worse than when they went in, especially if you're a Muslim. Like the sister said, 3 out of 1,000. I was fortunate enough to go on yards and transform them. You know, I wasn't going to be the only Muslim on the yard. So by the leave of Allah, Allah gave me skills and talents to be able to do that. But Link Outside provided me this opportunity right here by the leave of Allah Ta'ala. And we thank you. I want to give something to my little bro right here. Stand up, little bro. Thank you. Takbir. Allahu Akbar. This young man was in the cell with me. You know, these brothers, which is hundreds to probably thousands of these young men, Quinny, these men supported me. These men accepted me when I felt like I was far from home. And for him to travel from Los Angeles in the rain to bring the sister with him is nothing but an honorable brother. I appreciate you, and I honor you, brother. MashaAllah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum.
MashaAllah. Takbir. Alhamdulillah. So we are just getting close to the time, and before we get into the question and answers, because I'm sure a lot of y'all have questions, I just want to give everybody in 1 minute. So in 1 minute, what is the biggest needs for those who are still in prison and those who are re-entering? So you have the ears of the community and of people who are watching you from all over the world. So in 1 minute, how would you say, what are the biggest areas that need help right now?
Just to know that other Muslims get, well, for me, I feel like I see everybody to get happy because I become Muslim. Yes, I feel like people accept me with no conditions. They don't see, oh, she came out of prison or anything like that. It's just, okay, I feel welcome.
Thank you so much. Okay, 1 minute or less.
1 minute or less.
It's kind of hard to say exactly what the prisoner needs, but ultimately, as a community out here on the outside, I believe this is it's essential for us to get a proper understanding of the narrative. I know everybody has a story, a scenario, a situation that they came through, but our disconnect as Muslims came by way of us not understanding the narrative. And now, with us trying to one-up each other on our narratives. Well, I went through this or I went through that. And the prisoner ultimately loses when we're out here and we're in this state of not really connecting on a social basis as far as our narrative is concerned. So as far as what I believe that we can do as a community out here is ultimately go into each other's story to understand so that we can fulfill all those gaps in the narrative. And now we can talk to each other with a deeper love and a deeper respect. I never really understood Islam until I began to study the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that knowledge of his life gave me a deeper love for him. And that was a remedy for me in terms of how to heal society. We have to understand the narrative. We have to understand the companions. Yes, sir. It's just so deep of an issue, and I apologize for belaboring, brother Ameen. But yes, sir, that's what I believe. Narrative therapy is essential. Our guests actually experience that when they come into the prison. They see that these are human beings. I just needed to hear the story. So if you do want to heal, you want to help, I encourage you to hear the stories of those prisoners and see where the connect is, and you'll find how small the degree of difference is between you and them. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Real quickly, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said you change things 3 ways. So those who have hearts make dua. For those who make hearts, make dua. And your dua are powerful. It's the sali or the weapon of the mu'min or the believer. Number 2, those who have hands, offer your hands the link outside. We have 4 programs, networks, ideas, projects that we need to go into. Those who have bodies, move your bodies into them prisons. Inshallah ta'ala, the brother Jesse, the brother Ameen will get you there. Salam alaikum.
Thank you. So just a quick plug for Link Outside. We do have a table in the lobby. So before you leave, please make sure to sign up for email notices, volunteer opportunities. But I now want to open up to everyone in here, and we want to hear from you. We want you to have an opportunity to talk to these brothers and sisters here. No Q&A. Yeah. Okay. So before we get into the Q&A, I want to actually give everyone in here an opportunity to impact this in your own way. And one of the things that we're working with is with our Sheikh Mustafa Omar, the College of California Islamic University. This is a college-accredited distance learning program that now we're introducing to the prisons. So for the last few years, we've actually had a couple of the classes, and we just recently got a couple of more classes added. Now, it's an amazing thing, and you already heard the impact that those programs and those classes have. So I want to let you know that in order to introduce some more classes, well, it's going to cost something. You know, the printers aren't going to do it for free. We wish they did. But anyways, so I want to actually open this up today. We are looking for $2,000. $2,000 could impact countless numbers of lives. So before we get to the Q&A, I want to ask anyone in here is who would want to be part of that change? Who would want to be a part of impacting lives like the brothers and sisters here? So, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So we're looking for $100, 20 people for $100. Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, another 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So alhamdulillah, we have 32. Alhamdulillah, 32. So how many could get us to 5,000? If we have 500? We have, who wants to donate 500 and get us to 3,700? We got, okay, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, 4. Okay, so 4, who wants to give 1,000? 1,000 for this noble cause. We have 1. Jazakallah khairan, we have 2. May Allah reward you and bless your income and make it more, inshallah. So what we would like to ask you to do is before you leave, make sure we have some envelopes on that table. It's a link outside. Just write your information. You don't have to have the money on you right now. Just put down your information, your phone number, credit card details. If you have it, just email, and we'll get back to you. And inshallah, you'll hopefully see more lives change with that. So now we want to open it up to the Q&A. So I'm going to pass it on to Jamal, and he's going to explain the process for that. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khairan.
All right, takbir. That's like a 2.2 on the Richter scale. We can do better than that. Assalamu alaikum. Takbir. All right, if the mic is working, right? All right, may Allah bless you all. Thank you so much. I think it was very beneficial to everyone here, inshallah. So I want to do open QA session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand. I think we only have 1 functioning mic, so this is going to be very interesting how we do this. But maybe one of these mics work. But that one works? Okay, perfect. So maybe we can use it for the responses here. I'm just going to be in the back with the mic. I would ask you guys if anybody has any questions, comments, or suggestions. I would ask you please to make your way towards the mic stand here. Just some procedure or protocol for asking questions. I'm sure it's very, please keep your questions under, what should we say, like 15 seconds? Please, if you go more than that, or you're into like 3 minutes, it's gonna be kind of challenging for us to hear from other people. So if you can do us a favor and keep it maybe about 15, 20 seconds and direct your question to the panelists that you would like to get your response from, inshallah. So do we have any questions? If you can just kindly make your way here, that'll be great. Of course, I can Uber right over to you if you like as well. Anybody for questions? You're just being shy? Okay. I'll just pass it over here. I think it'll be a little easier.
Well, the universe works in mysterious ways. While you guys were talking, I thought about my own story, and it's not a question, it's just a comment for you guys. I never met my father. My father and mother divorced when I was 2 weeks old. While you guys were talking, I booked information to San Jose, to the prison, to meet my father for the first time. So I just want to thank you guys for that inspiration, and I'm looking forward to the journey.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for coming and sharing your stories. I just have a very simple question from all of you. What was the first thing that each and every one of you did when you first came out of prison?
First thing I did was say, Alhamdulillah.
I did something very special. I was in prison. I wore my hijab for the last year, and I pray and I fast and all of that, but I didn't want to make shahada inside because I didn't know. I wasn't sure because of my lifestyle. It was very, very special. And I didn't know, I was kind of, I don't know, scared. Or I don't know that if I walk out and go back, I didn't want to play with anything like that. So the first thing I did when I walked out, I was like, why did I wait this long? And I came here and I make shahada here in this masjid.
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, sir. The first thing I did, of course, I hugged my mother. I haven't seen her since I was 14 years old, and the returning was, it was something associated with, as you would see in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam and his father, seeing each other after that long time. There was a bit of a pause in between of us, but that connection with her, that was the first act. That was initial for me. Yes, sir.
All right. Just before we take the next question, an event at the mosque can't be officially an event at the mosque unless we have somebody like double parked or something like that, or parking in a way, right? So we have a Audi SUV, literally. Oh, welcome, salam. May Allah bless you, inshallah. All right. Next question. That made it very easy.
I want to say thank you guys for sharing your stories. It got me to, because I have a cousin that went back to prison because he got out, but he didn't see any opportunity for him because it ruined his life, so he went back. And I wanted to thank you guys for sharing your stories and seeing how, you know, the prison system is. Like, once you go to prison, chances are you're going to go right back, and that's one thing a lot of people that never got that experience, they don't understand, so thank you guys.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you, who led the prayer today at CJ? Central Jail, Santa Ana. Who led the prayer at Lacey? Who led the prayer at LA County? Can we do that? Because I was jailed without trial for a year in LA County Jail, and we didn't have once any Muslim come. The Christians have every week, sometimes twice a week. In 3 years, I mean, in 1 year, this couple came 3 times. They didn't even say Shahada right. They like say half Shahada, and that was what our Muslim service was in the county jail. So, yeah, I volunteered, and I think, you know, it's close by, Orange County, LA County. We should send somebody on Friday if we can. I volunteer.
InshaAllah.
I want to say something.
Assalamu alaikum. I would like to know, I'm Sister Sakina. I'm the director at the Golden Path. I work with re-entry programs. And I would like to know, what facilities are you at, and why didn't you go to Los Angeles, brother? Because I heard you say that you were originally from Los Angeles, and I think that's it.
Alhamdulillah. To answer the Sister Sakina's question, my bro was going to see his father. Bro, if you need any help with that, call Brother Jesse, bro. He help you relate to that situation if you need help. I was fortunate to have 6 organizations that helped me sponsor my freedom. And so one of the organizations, when we went before, I said I got a commutation. That means you have to go directly to the governor for your sentence to be commuted. That's what the commutation is. So in that, I had 6 organizations, Link Assad being one of them, put together a plan in a clear, distinct transition for my life. And one of that was for me to go to Cal State University. So I'm a part of a transitional house that is connected to Cal State University. So that's why I went to Cal State in East LA and not within Los Angeles. So that's
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. 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 I'm very proud of brothers like you coming out from where I came from. A lot of people don't know, but I've done over 30 years in prison. Alhamdulillah. I just want the room to know that Allah is Akbar. It's very hard for men like them to come back to us whole. You haven't a clue. I've been to some of the worst prisons in this country, in this state actually. This is the only state I've been locked up in. They've had a hold on me for over 25 years, off and on. Misguidance, young ones, pay attention. Prison ain't nothing to play with. You will die in prison. The day you get there, getting choked out is real. An officer will fall down on your neck with his knee, 300 pounds, and choke you out. You're dead before help can come to you. You don't know nothing about it. Guess what? They're going to hide it. You'll never know. Coming out of prison is not hard. It's not easy. It's very, very hard. Like she said, standing among the many when you're only a few is very scary, but you stand your ground. Muslims, Allah don't make cowards. We're not cowards. We stand up for what's right and we forbid what's wrong as best we can. But coming back out into this society, we get a wake-up call. Because if ain't nobody around to pick you up or help you out, guess what? You're going right back. Immediately. Police ain't going to play no games with you. They'll make up something to arrest you and take you back if they don't like your track record, like me. So guess what? I can't even jaywalk. How many of you have jaywalked and went to prison? Did you go to prison for jaywalking? Well, I went to prison for having no license. That's how they got me into the system. They gave me a joint suspension when I was naive, 30-something years, almost 30 years ago, and arrested me and put me in the system because I didn't have a California driver license. I wound up doing 16 months for that. I just got arrested right now and did 4 years. You didn't know about that recently. For somebody running off with my own car. I just want y'all to know I'm heartfelt and very touched, and inshallah we'll see a whole lot more of you people, us, come back to society and make something of ourselves. I've been out 1 year, and I've done more in 1 year than most people do in 10 years. I live better right now in 1 year than they did living in 10 years. You've been out here 10 years and you can't get it together. I've only been out here 1 year. They'll vouch for it. Outreach been looking out for me when I thought Outreach didn't care. I cussed them out. I was pissed. I didn't hear from them. I cussed the email out. Where you at? I was mad at him. I was hot. I'm from your community and I'm not getting no response. He apologized because I didn't know it was thousands of letters to answer. We don't have a clue about that. But the cold part about it is Muslims are not stepping up to the plate and being real Muslims and helping out the Muslims that are not able to help themselves. But we don't know because no information is getting inside.
InshaAllah.
I can talk all night, but I'm going to leave.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kenyatta. May Allah bless you, inshallah. Next question here.
Anyone from the sister side, by the way?
Sister side?
We haven't had anyone.
Okay. No, okay. Miguel?
Assalamu alaikum. All right. Okay. All right. Assalamu alaikum. I just want to thank you guys, for your lecture. Coming from the same type of background, as a Latino, coming from the South Side, 1-3, and all that stuff. How we have it in there and how we go at it in there. Okay. Sorry. All right. So I give you thanks, for everything that you guys are doing, and I give you thanks for your stories because it hit. And coming from the same type of background, it hits you right in the heart, and it just brings those memories, So much love to all you guys. I would like to say one thing. Right here in the Orange County jails, they don't have nobody going, to talk, to give lectures, So maybe we can unite and do something here, and bring us together in there. Thank you guys.
Alhamdulillah. The majority of Muslim in California prisons are African Americans or blacks. Our greatest stance are for our Hispanic, Mexican, and white brothers who choose Islam without any normal help from the Uno on the street. Brothers are in shoes and assets right now for standing with our brown and our white brothers. So when he stands here, bro, we honor you in that stance, bro. And our community was one of the ones who didn't bow down to the MAs, the skinheads, and nobody else. A Muslim was a Muslim, and we stood on that. So we honor you, brother. Salaam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, guys.
On the sister side here.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you for two things. The very first thing that I don't know how you kicked out your habits of drinking and drugging, and how did you make the change? What made you? And the second thing, that you did not take the shahada until you really stayed your fast and you're really made sure that's the right thing and that's what you want to do. I want to know, how are you giving back to the women behind bar?
Well, I say that I wait. I don't know why. I don't know why I wait that long. I have no idea. And how did I came to Islam? And the Quran says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us. He choose and who wants to bring to Islam. So he bring me to Islam. And the detox process, it was very hard. I was inside of a room, a little cell where you don't have space to go like this and walk. You can walk like that. Very, very small room where I was there for 4 months, and I can get out of there only 1 hour a day. So I was 23 hours a day inside that little room for 4 months, and there was my detox. That's how I did, because I was in the hard drugs where it's not very easy. Most of the time you will need medication. So I was isolated. No. It was another woman who was there, who she knows how to help me, or I don't know. She I think it wasn't for her. I was there probably by now in the detox process. I can. No, I'm not allowed to get any close to the facilities yet. I can write letters though, with permission. If I get approved from parole, still. Yes. We cannot get when we got out. We cannot get in touch with people inside. Yes. But here outside, I can show at least my family with my behavior, at least that people can change. Yes, my family probably they were too tired. There was no more trust for me or anything like that. They were too tired, and they don't believe that people can change. Someone like me, and all I can do is just I don't know my behavior.
All right. Perfect. We have time for a few more questions. If you guys just get them up high, I'll come right to you, inshallah. And please, we'll keep it as short as possible so we can get everybody in, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you all. May Allah bless you all infinitely. Jazakumullah khair and congratulations for your freedom. Your brother Ismail, I just came out of the MCJ today. We had 6 shahadas among the Spanish speakers brothers. And up to this Friday, we had 322 shahadas inside the MCJ at the rate of 1 visit per week only on Friday. So if the brothers are asking for Orange County services, we need volunteers among all the believers who are outside. Please, 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 I beg you to register your names and volunteer. It's not going to cost much. Okay? The prisons are very close to you. You live about 10, 15 miles away. I drive sometimes to Camarillo. I drive to San Luis Obispo. I drive to Fresno area. I drive to all prisons in the state, and I never felt having, spent money, because it comes back. What you put out, you get back. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides whomever He wants. We volunteered, and every time a brother takes the Shahada, we give them all the materials that she mentioned here by Brother Mustafa Omar, okay? And also, we invite them to attend the services every Friday when we go to them. Today, this is a pack here of brothers at MCJ who requested Arabic class. A whole pack with their names, booking numbers, floor numbers, cell numbers, so that they can be called whenever volunteers can go and teach them Arabic. So we need volunteers. Even if you give once a month a visit to the brothers to connect with them, that will be a great, great, great blessing for them.
Thank you so much.
All right? So I urge you, inshallah, to do volunteer and coordinate with Brother Ameen also. And we give them also the green pamphlet from the Islamic University with the address so that they can write here, and some of them already contacted.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Jazakumullah khair. May Allah bless you all.
Ameen.
And again, congratulations to you.
Sometimes the most challenging part is just to be the one passing around the mic, Allah bless you all. I don't mean to offend anyone, though. We want to hear from everyone. We just want to make sure we have time for everyone, inshallah. So we have a few, okay, how are we going to do this? All right, it's like 5, 6 hands. Okay, we'll just go here, inshallah. But we have time for a few more, please, and then we'll have a table outside. So who was that? Sorry, we saw. Sister.
Yes, okay. Assalamu alaikum again. Okay, I was wondering, for the sister, what do you have planned for your future?
Oh, Islamically?
Oh, and also, how many sisters are volunteering to go to the prison that are with the LinkedIn program, Brother Amin?
I'm gonna stay Muslim. I say I'm still gonna be a Muslim. Work. Oh yes, yeah. I mashallah, I found a job. Guess what? They didn't do a background check. They didn't even ask me the question. I went, and next day I started working. I work at Superior Market. Yes, I clean the floor, and also I'm taking some classes. Very nice ones, by the way. I'm learning how to fly Cessna 72. Yes, and and I'm also learning Arabic.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khair for having the bravery, the strength, and the humility to come and speak. I really appreciate it. Alhamdulillah, my mom does a lot of work in the prison system, but she's more involved with public speaking. But this is such a beautiful aspect to see the faith tie into it. So while you were talking, I was hit by a quote by Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, who said, sometimes the people with the worst past make the best futures. Alhamdulillah. So my question, just very briefly for anybody who is willing to answer, is that I hear from a lot of brothers and sisters who, alhamdulillah, are guided to Islam, that a recurring theme and what attracted them to the religion is the social bond and the community and the ummah, which is beautiful. But personally, I thought something that would be more important to emphasize is the forgiveness of Allah and the dignity of the believer and having your sins erased and the equality of all people. What message would you say is the most important to deliver when, inshallah, we can start volunteering?
Alhamdulillah. One of my favorite ayah in the Quran, it says in English, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, if you want Allah to love you, if you want Allah to love you, if you want Allah to love you, then follow me. Then He will forgive you of your sins. He will pardon you. And He will love you for His Ghafur Rahim. So a part of the social connection and the love, in my experience, was that is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's one of his greatest rahmah that we experience here is ghafir, or forgiveness, especially for those of us inside of a prison setting where forgiveness comes hard. They try to hold you to that one moment inside of your life. So yes, we strongly believe istaghfir. You know, the Quran begun with Ghafur Rahim and it ended with Ghafur Rahim. So we believe that Allah is all forgiving and most merciful. And without that, sister, we wouldn't have nothing. So yes, we do agree, as you have seen, that forgiveness, but is based on Allah's love. So yeah, I do agree. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, so my question is for the sister. So I was just wondering, what was your experience like wearing the hijab in prison? Because I understand that it's really difficult for a lot of us, even who aren't in prison, just wearing the hijab like in our everyday lives. So I was wondering, what was your experience like wearing the hijab specifically in prison?
I did like it a lot. I like it. I feel comfortable, and you know, there is very, how can I say, difficult, different. I don't know, because it's another world. It's totally different. Living inside. It's I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. How I don't know how to put it in words. I just say that I felt comfortable, and then when I got out, I couldn't take it off anymore. I couldn't. And inside, I felt freedom because nobody saw me, nobody that knows me. It was something new for me, but I felt it in my heart that I was the right thing to do.
Okay. Yes, you in the back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Just one question for Brother Shaq or Tobias. Out of your 27 years, how many volunteers do you think possibly came, if you can count just off the top of your head?
Allahu Alam. In the first part, my father was a part of a group of men, and one of them is in here right now, Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah. Those men saw very hard to get inside the institutions, and we shut down really post 9/11. Since then, it went, like for myself, my experience, it was decades that were none until I got to Lancaster, very few, and then I was fortunate enough to get contacted with Link Outside. But volunteering for the Muslim community is very hard and difficult, to say the least.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. And for Quinny, one of the things, or I should say Abdul Qadir, I apologize, brother. MashaAllah. How important was it to have a follow-up, not just somebody coming in, what they say, pre-entry, but also to re-entry and actually feeling a sense of home, a sense of family, and just a connection, period. Having some place to go as a refuge, having some place to go to find yourself spiritually, having yourself just even have a meal. How important was that to you, especially when we come from such a long process of disconnect with our family?
Yeah, it's a loaded question. To be honest, it's a lifesaver. I actually graduated from college. When I got out, I got enrolled the day after. And fortunately, with the help of the Linked Outside brothers, specifically Jesse and Ameen dedicating and donating his car to me so I can get back and forth to work and school. Brother Jesse opening his door up to help me get my diet under control, because I didn't have proper knowledge about how to eat to live. Another thing is more or less that without these brothers, I wouldn't be a college grad. Without these brothers, I wouldn't be able to basically sustain my lifestyle right now. Being taken away at the age of 14, I had very little knowledge on how to basically do the basic things in society. So for me, I'm coming from a juvenile mindset, trying to upgrade it to what's up to date now. I accidentally put Ameen's credit card in the gas. It was the receipt holder, and lost it because I don't know about credit cards. So there's a lot of stuff that we have to be educated on, but these brothers having the patience and putting their personal money in it, putting their personal vehicles involved in it, that is the ultimate healing, and that is what has become the true Linked Outside.
All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and conclude. We went a little bit over time, but we want to make sure we hear from everybody. So again, brothers and sisters, if you guys can either whatever is your form of showing gratitude, whether it's applause or saying takbir. On 3, I'm going to say takbir. If you can repeat after me with Allahu Akbar for our panelists and our brothers and our sisters, Brother Ameen and our brothers and sisters, that'll be great, inshallah. So, takbir on 3. 1, 2, 3. Alhamdulillah. All right, Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you all. May Allah reward you all. Just a few things before I do pass it over to Brother Ameen, just to make sure we all understand. Number 1, for those of you that pledged, please make sure to fulfill your pledges. There is a link outside table there. We have volunteers all around, so please do your best. We have a credit card machine. I believe we have pledge forms. You can write a check out, whatever you prefer. But please do make sure to fulfill your pledges. We would really appreciate it. Number 2, you know, link outside wouldn't be link outside with the assistance of without the assistance of a few people. Number 1, obviously, Brother Ameen and Sheikh, our program manager. Number 2 also was Brother Jesse, who asked the last question. He's actually outside on the table, and Sheikh Mustafa Umar himself, who's also helping and doing a number of things. So please make sure to keep the link outside / IIOC family in your du'as, your prayers. As you know, link outside is an IIOC initiative. So this masjid, alhamdulillah, and that which is leading me to my next thing is the management here and the administration of having a vision. I mean, think about it. How many mosques do you know? And I'm not here to down any masjid or mosque, but how many mosques do you know that have a full-time outreach program, have a full-time prison outreach program? How many of them? We can count that on one hand, maybe on a few fingers, maybe, right? So we're very blessed here that the management and the administration here has a vision, right, into the future. So may Allah bless the management here as well. Number 3, sorry, just a list of announcements. I'm sure my brothers and sisters will be here, so if you guys have any questions, they're okay to come up and ask you guys. Perfect, because a number of you did have questions. My apologies, I did have to cut it at this time because we went a little bit over. But again, if you have any questions or comments, you can visit here. Please don't forget to sign up on the link outside table. Again, if you can pen pal, writing letters, if you can go actually and visit, this is a lot of help that we need, inshallah. As the brothers mentioned, we get stacks of letters. Stacks. When you go on the table outside, you see a small sample of the different letters that we get from all over the country, if I'm not mistaken, right? And finally, as you know, we have a lot of delicious food. It's actually almost, I think it's almost out, if I'm not mistaken. So if you, on your way out, want to support the masjid, and also Al-Taqwa Tacos, which is also from our sister Marlene, who converted to Islam and started her own halal business, which is amazing. We want to support as much as possible. So on your way out, if you can make a plate or take a plate with you, that'll be great, inshallah. And finally, I'll pass it over to Brother Ameen for any last comments, inshallah.
Thank you so much for coming out today in the rain. For some people, over an hour to get here. Real quick, I know some of you all have to go, but just grab one of our flyers. We'll have it at our table. And if you can't even do that, just make sure to go on our website, linkoutside.com. That's link. Thank you. That's linkoutside.com. You can see more information about the programs and the services that we offer, and you can even donate online via PayPal. So don't forget to grab a flyer when you go. Check out linkoutside.com. And again, from the bottom of our hearts and from everyone here, thank you so much. Jazakallah khairan. May Allah bless you and reward you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.